Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another video in the Profit Managed channel. My name is Alex, and in this video I'll do the weekly breakdown for you guys, just like I've done last week. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts if you're bullish or bearish, any questions that you have, and make sure to subscribe to not miss any of this content. So let's start with the total one. And if you've seen last week's video, I told you that I wanted to see a reversal back down that will have taken out this trend line for the third time, and from there onwards I was expecting to see a reversal back up, which is exactly what ended up unfolding. We topped on Tuesday, we reversed back down on Thursday, we hit the trend line for the third time, hit this level that I wanted to see act as a support, and now we're boosting higher. Now what I can tell you here is that the total 3, in my personal opinion, still has a little bit more room to go. I think that it can go potentially close to around 3.5 trillion, potentially we'll take out the high by doing so. And then we could potentially start to see a significant retrace from there as well. Okay, I'll also show you guys some different charts that I have for the same charts, but on different layouts, because there is some other ways that this can potentially unfold here. And you can see that we are currently wiped this high here. Overall, based on this analysis that I've done on this chart here, at the very least you should be taking profits if you have taken longs down here. Okay, at least you should be taking profits and protecting your position, because there has been a wipe of the high. Overall trend, you could even say that this is a market structure shift that is potentially taking place in an overall bullish uptrend. But this could potentially lead to a little bit more downside at some point. Okay, so we've just hit the equilibrium point for this particular range, and let me actually double check if we have done that. No, we haven't, so we could expect a little bit more upside, but the point remains the same. Once we strike this equilibrium point, at the very least you should be taking out a little bit of profit off, protect your positions, because regardless of whether we go up for this full move and take out this side as well, which could very much be a possibility here, I think that we may soon be experiencing at least somewhat of a retrace back down into this region, potentially around 286 or so, maybe even somewhere around 2.92 would be my best guess. Somewhere around this region here would be a very good area, in my opinion, to kind of expect a retrace back down to, and you should be wanting to long, in my opinion, down here. I think that down here we could have enough room to boost her even higher. So what I'm going to do myself is actually had this alert here. Cool. This is the equilibrium point of this consolidation that we have had here. Make sure that I got the right points for it. And yeah, pretty much, yes, it's 2.92. So I'm expecting, whether from this level or from a little bit higher, to start to see the retrace back down in preparation of another leg to the upside, in my personal opinion, on the total 1. So let's go on the total 2 instead. Here as well, we pretty much expected to see more downside, and the reason why I told you that I think that the total 1 can potentially see more downside is pretty much being proposed on the total 2 as well, because the total 2 has got very close to my level, which I believe I have identified a breaker here. I'm pretty sure there is a breaker here. And, you know, maybe some people could say, well, the breaker was actually up here, right? And there is some degree of truth to that. You could have definitely played that as a breaker. However, I think that we may want to retest the equilibrium point of this overall range before actually pushing up higher significantly. And because this has remained unfulfilled, this area over here, I think that we may be experiencing some downside very soon. You know, it's a week with quite a lot of movement, news impacting the market, starting from Wednesday all the way to Friday. We also got the meeting with China and the US happening in London, I believe, today, if I'm not mistaken. So we got quite the narratives right now to potentially move the market this week. So I remain of the thesis that until this is reclaimed as a support, that we should be adding down regardless of a little bit more to the upside as a possibility. We are currently following this bearish Fibonacci on the total 2, on the total 1. As I said, it could either be close to topping out in this area before a reversal back down, or as the previous projection suggested, we may want to retest this trend over here as a resistance. There's quite a lot of resistance here, so if we were to reach up into these levels, anywhere between 3.43 to 3.5 is the area where I will be expecting a lot of resistance to come in. So I will definitely be TPing here if I were to be if I add any longs up and down here. Okay, so here you could even potentially consider some tracer downside that you could be taking. Let's go to the total 3. Now the total 3 is actually my breaker level. Beautiful bounce from this area. You can see that we pretty much spent no time at a drawdown. Continuation higher now seems likely, at least into the equilibrium zone. If I were to plot a zone, I will be looking at these levels here for potential resistance. Just to kind of highlight it, it will have to be somewhere around these levels here. This is where I will be expecting to see us meeting resistance. So there is a little bit higher to go, as suggested by the total 3 and the total 1. Total 2 as well can potentially go a little bit higher. Doesn't it really have to move much, considering that the total 2 has Ethereum in it, which I will cover in just a second. Other chart, again, hit this region over here that was looking as a support, but it didn't touch the trend for the third time. So this is a very big telling sign to me, because it tells me that yes, we are seeing a bounce, but it's not the bounce, in my opinion. There is another way that you could have looked at this perhaps, and it's by plotting the trend line this way: one touch, second touch, third touch, which I don't even know if it did touch it. And well, yes, it did. Or it did. Hold on, let me check. Trying to be super precise with this, and yes, it did touch it. So that also was confluence to bolster a little bit higher from that level. However, we have a volume imbalance here that does suggest the price may have to return back down into this region. So there is confluences, in my opinion, that this is a weak bounce, what we're seeing so far. I do see the possibility of this Fibonacci coming into play here, currently facing the equilibrium point of the overall range. Stepping into the 0.61% could also be key here. So, short term could be bullish, but I'm expecting to see a downtrend beginning soon. So, I also think that it's quite interesting to see Bitcoin moving up like this today. At the beginning of the week, this is usually when you tend to see either the low or the high of the week being formed. And with so much tension between the deal with China and the US, I think this could also be laying out somewhat of a trap, while also remaining open to potentially seeing the drive towards a new all-time high soon. Okay, so that is key for context. I told you that I want to see this trend line here being hit, and that's exactly what ended up happening. But I also said that if this trend line retest doesn't bring back also their short-term bottoms or lower, it's likely Bitcoin has to drop to low 80s to justify a buy of altcoins. Now, I will also come here and say that it doesn't have to be necessarily the low 80s. This was an old statement. I will also be expecting mid 90s. So let me actually update this. Reason being is because when I made this statement here for premium, which if you guys want, you can find the link down below to join us in the Discord. I pretty much was in a situation where the Bitcoin dominance looked like it could have potentially seen enough or retraced to the downside, which we will cover later and see what it's potentially unfolding there. But I think that there could be a potential push to the downside. to around that 95k area and potentially in the 90s. Overall, I want to see a push down below 100k. Okay, just to kind of summarize that all up, I think that this trend line over here coming to fruition could be the key. I think that breaking 100k is a psychological level, most importantly. That could potentially bring a little bit of fear. We were very close to doing that last time, but we didn't. We pretty much stopped at 100k and a few $100. So I personally think that unless we end up taking out this high, right, that there is the potential here for, you know, maybe going towards that 109.8, approximately 109 and 600, and then reverse it from there. But I'm also quite open to seeing a new all-time high. Okay, it doesn't have to be very much. It could be 113k, something like that. Just get a little bit more FOMO. All coins move up slightly, and then a reversal back down, and then all coins start to steal the show, in my personal opinion. This is the same Bitcoin chart, but with the projection that I had last week. Where I stated that I wanted to see this level act as a support, that it was this certain year that was missing the third touch. So we knew that we had to look down into these levels because there was a trend line there. Okay, you can see also that we wiped this low, which helped the reversal take place. And the reason why I said that there could be a new all-time high here is because of this. If you were to look at things from a range perspective, right, you basically liquidated the low, reclaim the range, and it's likely that you're going to be taking out this high. However, not only will you be met with a lot of resistance here, but based on the breakout that first happened to the downside, what this is already telling me is that we may be seeing something like this, where yes, we may see a new all-time high, but it's mostly going to be designed to bring more liquidity into the market and pretty much be a trap. Okay, so while I do see potentials for us topping out sooner than a new all-time high, close to around 109, I think that regardless of that, there is the potential for making the new all-time high and the reversal back down. So if I were to tell you where I think we may be topping out, could be 113, 114, around those levels. And then another push to the upside potentially. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm seeing at the moment on Bitcoin. Breaker ideally will be 87k to 81k. We will see, but we want to start buying altcoins every step of the way. A very good indication that perhaps you know, alt season is right around the corner here, in my opinion, after a correction, is the Bitcoin dominance. You know, this is where I was expecting to see resistance. Okay, this is why I also shifted from mid 80s or low 80s. I don't remember what I wrote before on this chart here. Yeah, to low 80s, and then it changed it in front of you to mid 90s. Well, look at the Bitcoin dominance. If this breaks out here, even if Bitcoin were to pump, right, and then it dumps, not only will the Bitcoin dominance increase further in that situation, but it will start to step into levels that, in my opinion, could potentially mark the bottom for the altcoins. Essentially, every single alert that you see that I've set up in here, in my eyes, could be the levels where we end up bottoming out with the altcoins. You may say, well, you have 4 different levels. How do you play that? Well, you DCA. Okay, if you don't have positions now, you should be you should be DCAing every step of the way on the coins that you want to bring in the alt season. Okay, so I'm gonna be DCAing at specific levels that I've already gave to premium. There will be a couple of new altcoins that I'm switching up for, but overall, if we end up breaking out above this level, I think that we're very, very near. Now, if we hold this level and we perhaps retrace, as perhaps we make a new all-time high and altcoins start to retrace a little bit more, okay, cool. The same plan remains, which is of course correction to the downside, both a higher and then real alt season. So this would be just a possibility that the market is giving you to take some profit off before the final crash, which you could then utilize the profits that you've taken out at, during this downtrend in anticipation, of course, of a correction, and then you could use that capital to buy more of that altcoin that you sold before. Okay, so let's also have a look at the S&P. Moving up, sure, but it has broken this trend line, you know, potentially pushing up to 6,000, and or we could say even 6,100 approximately. Could be a topping indicator, retrace back down before a continuation higher if it has to happen. Okay, the fact that this is moving up continuously, in my opinion, does scream like a retrace is overdue. It's giving, in my opinion, the illusion to a lot of people that this is the same sort of a recovery that we have seen during COVID. I don't think that it's going to be that easy, in my opinion. It does look quite like it, and that's why I don't think that it's going to be exactly the same. I think that there should be another scare event to the downside that perhaps doesn't even need to take out the slow right away. If it does, we already know where to look. But if it doesn't retrace that low, okay, I will be expecting to see something like this essentially, where we do end up seeing that retrace and continuation higher towards a new all-time high, and then we reverse back down later. MSTR, again moving up. It has already at the 620%. The logical level, if we end up closing candles above the 50 and the 620%, would be for $476 in my eyes. Not really looking for a new all-time high here at this moment. Ethereum, so look at that. The reason why I stated that, look, the total 2 in my opinion doesn't have that much higher to go, while instead the total 3 and the other stars does propose a little bit more upside available, is because Ethereum is currently ranging. And if I were to apply this tool over here, you can see that we're pretty much playing around the equilibrium point. Okay, so as long as we range in here, and as long as there is that potential for a correction back down, I will keep on looking for around 2,100 or so level for Ethereum, or at least 2,145. Okay, at least those two levels here. Kind of want to see the retrace back down before potentially bolstering up towards the 3,000 or so levels. Okay, so this is still the plan. Not much has changed here. Ethereum versus Bitcoin consolidating. Not much is happening. I do expect us to potentially start to reverse back down. I don't know necessarily when on this chart, but ideally we start to close candles below this lows here, which I will highlight for you. The moment we start closing below this low, I think that we can easily start to step into these levels here that I have. This could be clutch, in my opinion, along with the theory of Bitcoin about to drop after a new all-time high. Ethereum needing to drop lower, in my personal opinion. This could be giving you the final signal to buy, if you wish, before boosting higher. But in my opinion, it's nowhere near the final bottom for Ethereum. Okay, so that doesn't mean that we cannot go higher, but I will not call that the generational bottom for Ethereum. Okay, total 3 minus Solana minus BNB minus XRP USDT USDC. We have to look at this at the on this 2-week time frame. Okay, and I said that I stated that this is the important trend line. We are still holding it, so the chance of this moving up higher is still present here. I'm still open to the idea of this reversing lower. What could potentially happen here is either a very quick fish below, candle closure back above, or we get a candle closure below here, and the next 2-week candle basically closes back above this trend line. That's another way that it could potentially unfold. Okay. But at the moment, unless something like that happens, as long as you're above this trend line, you should be bullish. Okay, so let's also go to the other charts that I have for the totals, and we have the total 1 where I add this projection. Same sort of bounce level. I'm looking for a wipe of the sign in this chart, which if I were to do a quick comparison between these two charts here, just to show you guys what has differed between my two analyses, if there is anything that is different. Well, I'm expecting to see this trend line being hit, which in this chart will be translated to this trend line here. and it's pretty much the same thing that I'm expecting overall between these two charts. This overall level being hit of around 3.5 trillion. Around that level is where I think that we should be marking somewhat of a top for reversal back down. Let's go to the total 2. Total 2 bounce level has happened. Here I'm actually expecting a little bit more upside from this level. On the total 2 of this chart, well, I was pretty much expecting the same exact thing. The only difference here is that I have not seen enough of a retrace back down, which in this chart here, we can actually agree on the same exact thing, because this is the level that I was looking for a potential bottom, and we still haven't hit it. Total 3 is down here. Did not have much expectations here. I did put a projection where I was pretty much expecting us to go a little bit lower, and this is like a projection from what I believe was last cycle, I think. I don't remember exactly, but it's not necessarily because I positioned it here that I was expecting the drop to happen from exactly that week. Okay, it's just an indication of what I'm expecting to see next in terms of movement. So here I'm expecting to see a correction back down. Let's see if that agrees with my theory. Well, here we are bouncing, so we could potentially move up in this level here before reversing back down, which is, yeah, time back to my overall thesis so far. Orders chart, again, here not much expectations that I had before, so I'm not really covered that. On the Bitcoin chart here, I added this level here as a level of potential resistance, which is the one between 108 and 109.6. Kind of already gave you guys the reason why I'm looking at that specific area, and it's because of this bearish golden pocket level here that we're currently respecting. So unless we end up taking out the high, which will still be giving us, in my opinion, a bearish conclusion to this overall build-up that we have set in this range, I will only get bullish once again, in my opinion, if we end up seeing this, where we drop one more time to around these levels and then we push up for the all-time high. But here in this chart, I'm implying that we're not going for a new all-time high right away. Okay, because if a new all-time high happens to be made without this retracement, this setup that I have over here is invalidated. Okay, it's very important to understand that, and I will actually write it here. Setup valid only if the retrace happens before new all-time high. Otherwise, it's invalidated in my eyes. There could be something else. Moving on, USDT dominance chart. I gave you guys this level here where I stated that this was a low probability bottom. Ended up being the perfect level of a reversal. But like I stated before, I said that this was going to be, in my opinion, a low probability bottom. As in that it's not the final bottom, but if you could have easily played this, okay? There was nothing wrong with taking this level for, intraday or short-term buys or anything that is short-term, because I think that regardless, while we may potentially start to be heading down lower, I think that there is the possibility of going a little bit higher before. That has also been suggested by the other charts that we have seen. So let's wrap up by showing you guys this Ethereum charts here. Again, year consolidation, another level. In this chart here, which is another cleaner version of Ethereum. Yeah, I'm not expecting to see this level being retested just yet, in my opinion. Reason being is because usually when I see this sort of breaks of previous support, now resistance, and you see the retest happening right away, usually the first directional move towards that level of resistance tends to not be met if the retest has already unfolded. So I'm expecting us to actually top out for now around these levels and then have a retest of this support level on 2100, which is pretty much the breaker level that I showed you guys before. So it's all time back. I've made all these different charts, right, in different amounts of time and in different periods of the year or the cycle. Okay, the fact that I'm still seeing the same correlations is what helps tie my overall thesis together and my overall bias. It's kind of me checking on myself, making sure that I'm not married to a bias, but that I'm married to what I'm seeing. And willing, of course, to adapt. But you know, if I'm seeing one thing, I'm not gonna come in here and say another. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it, leave a comment, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.